Today I fucked up meeting a friend for happy hour without telling my fiancé. Today I fucked up. 39 male, was contacted by an old coworker about some business issues.
In the course of it, I let her know that I am not happy at my workplace and a lot of stuff went down after she left.
She suggested we meet for happy hour the next day to catch up. I let my fiancé know I was meeting a friend for happy hour. I did not tell her my friend was female. I honestly don't know why I didn't tell fiancé my friend is a female.
I go meet my friend, and we vent about all the same people we know.
She tells me a lot of things I didn't know. I picked up the tab after she offered to pay her portion because I knew she wasn't in a good place financially.
I get home, and I tell my fiancé I have some tea to tell her that my friend divulged. Fiancé finds out my friend is a she and flips.
Says I betrayed her and cheated on her. She's telling everyone that I took another woman out to a fancy restaurant behind her back and is threatening to call off the wedding. Too long did not read. I went out for happy hour with an old female coworker but didn't tell my fiancé the old coworker is a female.
Breakup imminent.
Edit. I explained in a comment that I let her read this thread. She took it upon herself to comment on this post. She's trying to give you context. Not sure if it will change anyone's mind, but I also commented on it. Looks like you deleted the comment clarifying that she still hangs out with her ex and there might be some projection going on. Well, that completely changes the dynamic. Holding off on the wedding seems like the right move since this is only going to get worse in the future unless you can clearly figure out what your comfort level is, and ideally write it down somewhere for posterity. She ignored your discomfort because it wasn't her own. Now being on the other side, there might be a chance she can actually grok it. Run, bro. This isn't your fuck up, your fiancé at best insecure and at worst shows no trust in yourself as your partner. Honestly might be dodging a bullet by breaking up before getting married. Mate, if you break up, that's the highest caliber of bullet dodged. No rational person would flip that hard at what you have described. ETA. I've just ran through this scenario with my wife to gauge what she deems rational, irrational. She says that you should have told her it was a girl, not for any untoward reason, but just in case anyone saw me and texted her asking why I was out with another girl. Certainly not any of your so's reactions. Call off the engagement. It's only going to get worse. GIF. Giphy. KEXXJGIR4BXFZ7BYSC, downsized. Today I fucked up and realized I am a problem. Today I fucked up when talking to my ex who I still live with. I have always been a joking type of person. He shaved his beard and it reminded me of Abraham Lincoln. I was gonna say so, but something in my brain made me feel the need to ask if I could gently roast him. I did, and he responded with, "No, if you can't be nice, don't say fucking anything." I don't know why, but it made me look back at all the other things I've joked about. I feel like an incredible asshole. I realized that's probably why I struggle with keeping friends and relationships. I didn't follow the golden rule. Treat others how you'd want to be treated. I feel the need to make this up. We share a kid together and I feel absolutely horrible when I realized how much I messed up. How do I go about fixing myself and making sure I'm not this sort of way towards anyone going forward? Too long did not read. I fucked up by realizing I poke fun at others' insecurities and I feel like a major douchebag. Glad you're figuring this out while the kid is still young. My dad is the same way and it really hurts sometimes, but it's hard to be mad because I know he didn't mean it. Whenever I try to explain it, he's like, "Well, fine, I'm stupid and shouldn't say anything." It's exhausting. So, I have a rule because I struggled with this. Stop, drop, and roll. Stop before you say something. Take a second to think about it. Would you like it if someone said it to you? If yes, roll with it. If not, reword it and try again. You recognizing and wanting to change this behavior is a big step, and I commend you because it's very hard to recognize when you have a problem. I just had a major realization after reading this. Introspection is the key of becoming mature. Congratulations, you're growing up and getting better. Sounds like therapy and some big apologies spare on your future, but now you know. Well, welcome to the club. We've all had those moments where we realize we might be the problem. It happens to the best of us. Today I fucked up by visiting a Japanese bathhouse. Okay, so this happened a fair few years ago but still haunts me.
Back in 2017 I was in my final year of university, and got the opportunity to spend 5 weeks in Tokyo for an exchange observership.
One of the items on my bucket list was to visit a sento, traditional indoor Japanese bathhouse. I wanted to go to somewhere a bit less touristy, and luckily there was a place only a few blocks from where I was staying, like 45 milines out of the central city. Not wanting to make an idiot of myself, I did some research beforehand regarding what to expect and how to act. One thing mentioned was that you have to wash yourself before you hop in the pool. I didn't have a travel bottle of soap, body wash, but read that you can buy it at most places, and if not then it will often be supplied. When I got there I quickly realized no one spoke English, and although I managed to pay for my entry, I couldn't communicate soap nor could I see any for purchase behind the counter. I assumed there would be some in the actual bathing area, so stripped down naked in the changing room, put my clothes in a locker, and proceeded into the actual bathing room. On the left-hand side of the room were like 15 or so washing stations, to the right was the big pool. There were a few old men sitting, well more like squatting, on tiny footstool things washing themselves. I was the only non-Japanese person there, and alas there was no soap in sight. Then I spied just to the left of the entrance, on a table, a small woven basket with like 7 bars of soap in it. This was where I made my big fuck up. I assumed that this was the communal soap basket. I grabbed a bar of soap and walked over to one of the washing stations to get to business. One of the old Japanese guys saw me doing this, and started glaring at me and muttering something under his breath. This would have been the time to return the soap to the basket and call it a day, but I'm a fucking idiot so that didn't happen. Shortly after, another old Japanese man gets out of the bath, walks over to the table, picks up the basket of soap, exchanges words with the guy who glared at me, and proceeds to also start glaring at me and saying something in what seemed to be a pretty angry tone. This is when I realized with horror that the basket was in fact his, and I had just stolen one of his bars of soap. By this point I had already lathered myself up however, so handing the soap back to him clearly wasn't an option. I awkwardly tried to apologize but could see it wasn't well received. I didn't see any other option except to finish washing myself, but the next issue was that I had nowhere to put the soap. I didn't have a toiletries bag with me, and there were no rubbish bins anywhere. So I just sat there, red-faced, completely naked, dying a million deaths inside, continuously rubbing soap on myself and breaking it up, disintegrating it into small enough chunks that it would go down the drain. I'm sure the Japanese men continued glaring and cursing at me, but I didn't make any further eye contact with them so can't be completely sure. After this ordeal was over, I rinsed myself off, got up and entered the bath. The water was incredibly hot however, and this alongside the shame and embarrassment washing over me, made for a thoroughly unenjoyable experience. I only stayed in there for like 5 minutes before slinking out, back to the safety of my touristy accommodation. Too long did not read. Went to a traditional Japanese bathhouse, accidentally stole an old man's bar of soap, still haunted with shame and regret to this day. Imagine if some dude came into the gym locker room and stole your soap, and while you're passive-aggressively waiting for him to finish he just keeps fucking using it until it's all gone then just leaves without saying shit. I wanted to go to somewhere a bit less touristy. Maybe not the best idea if you can't speak at least a bit of the local language. The funniest bit is that you stayed in the shower desperately trying to use up the entire bar of soap. Like not only did you steal this guy's soap bar, you literally vaporized it while showering. The only time I've ever been in Japan, in my 20s, I couldn't help but notice the thousands of retro-style steel frame bicycles everywhere. They seemed to be on every street corner, none of them were locked up, and at a first glance they looked identical. For a brief moment I thought, hey, Tokyo must have a free bike share program. Obviously if these were personal bikes they would be more modern, varied, and locked up. Luckily I was a bit more cautious than Op, so I didn't immediately jump on one and ride off into the sunset sunrise. Most places that provide free soap are using liquid body wash and shampoo as they are easier to refill. The most common ones are dyed green and red, put in transparent bottles with pump. A fake, they are not marked in English, but you should see multiple identical sets of them placed around the shower area. That's one way to tell they are shared. At least that is the case in Tokyo. Why did the guy bring 7 bars of soap with him? Today I fucked up obligatory. This happened a while ago. Let my husband cook and then get frisky.
So, a few weeks ago my 29 female husband, 31 male, was cooking supper.
He gets home 2 hours before I do from work, so I cook on the weekends. I'd been having a bad day at work, and as we were sitting down to eat, I got a call from a coworker friend. The friend was letting me vent, and I in turn let him vent. While he was venting, my loving spouse decided to be teasing, pinching, and completely distracting. I managed 5 minutes more on the call before I had to get off for the obvious reasons. Here's the kicker. There is a sudden, increasing, burning sensation between my legs. Not the normal, really turned on kind. Almost like I was peeing my pants. Go to the restroom and my crotch is on fire. At this point I'm laughing so hard that I'm also crying, because I'm wiping with a damp cloth, and he's re-washing his hands. He'd been cutting jalapenos and onions. Swore up and down that he'd washed his hands at least twice after cutting both items. This happened roughly a month ago. And we are both still teasing each other mercilessly for it. Too long did not read. Husband didn't wash his hands well enough after cutting jalapenos before messing around with my genitals. Soap doesn't work on capsaicin, the hot stuff in peppers that made your nether regions feel spicy. Next time, have him wear gloves when handling spicy peppers that aren't his own, or wash his hands with olive oil when he's done. Capsaicin is soluble in oil. Wash with oil, wash with soap, then have some extra spicy times. He's just trying to spice things up. Reminds me as a kid when I was just touching the spices mom was cooking with. She told me to clean my hands but I didn't listen, then I picked my nose and touched my eyes. And that when I learned that spices don't only burn your mouth. Fucking called it before I even read the post. I was like, this is another hot sauce or pepper incident. And that's why gloves are a necessity when cutting peppers. Different meaning, but same message. No glove equals no love. This reminds the first time I cooked with habanero peppers back in grad school. Made sure to wash my hands at least a half dozen times. After dinner, went to pee and lit my dick and balls on fire. Got a cold, wet towel and wrapped my junk in it and sat on the couch sweating. Roommate came home and asked what the fuck I was doing. I told her and she started laughing hysterically. Thank God this was before the iPhone because I'm absolutely positive she would have taken a picture.